Hey guys, and welcome to video 2 of week 4. Excuse me. And in this video, we are going to talk about functions. We're going to talk about updating, insertion, and deletion statements as well. So if you remember in video 1, we covered selecting, which is read in the CRUD acronym. So like I said, we're going to go over creation, which is insertion, updating, and deletion. So to cover our whole, kind of CRUD statement or CRUD acronym sequence, and then I'm also going to go over just some basic SQL functions as well. So let's jump right into it. So let's get into insertion first. So with insert statements, our syntax is going to be pretty simple, right? So we're going to have insert into table name, then we're going to have columns, values, and I'm just going to reference my my guy here real quick. Yep. So that is, So that is our syntax for an insert statement. Now let's go ahead and make this happen. So if we pull up employees, we'll pull up the design. So you could see that to add a new employee, we only have to fill out first name and last name, as it looks like employee ID should be it's an identity, and so it's auto incrementing. So really, all we should have to do to add a new employee to our employees table will be to do insert into employees, first name, last name, values. We'll say Robert, Bob, so if we run that, string or binary would have been truncated, so maybe it doesn't like that. So now, if we go back to our employees table, let me just do a select star from employees. You can see Robert Boberson has been added to employees, and you'll notice that the employee ID jumped. That's because when we ran that initial insert statement and it failed, we still incremented the identity seed by 1. So that's why it goes 911 instead of 910. So that is insertion, pretty straightforward. Now for updating. So our update syntax is going to be pretty simple as well. It's just going to be update table name set. I'm actually going to do it like this. Column 1 equal to value 1. Column 2 equal to value 2, etc. Where conditions. So as you can see, we'll write update, we'll specify a table name, then we'll say set, and obviously we're going to omit these parens here, and we'll just list them out sort of like we would in a where clause. So we're going to do column 1 equals value 1, column 2 equals column 2, and so on, and then where conditions. So let's go ahead and give Robert Boberson some more information. So we're going to say update employees set title equal to let's make him a sales rep. hire date equal to let's say 1994 0 say 06 04. So fun piece of trivia for those of you guys that are watching the video, and I might actually I might give like a bonus point for this on your assignment for this week if you can answer this. What event happened in music history on April 6th, 1994? Right? Should be April 6th, 1994. If I'm remembering the date correctly, very important, depending upon how you look at music, very interesting event in music history happened on that date. So if you know it, I'll give you bonus point for trivia on your assignment. So we've given him a hire date. We'll give him an address equals 123 Elm Street, City equals Cincinnati, region equals Ohio, postal code equals 45152. And do I really care about the rest of this stuff? I guess country makes sense, so we'll do country. Country equals USA, and we're gonna ignore the rest because I don't. Let's add a reports to. Reports to. Whoops. Equals to where employee ID equals 11. Forgot a comma, or comma. Okay, so if we run that, and we query again, you can see now we have all of this information about Robert Boberson that we would not have had prior to our update statement. So that is updates. And now let's say that Robert Boberson was just a terrible employee. He stole from the pensions. He made threats to his superiors when we fired him. So as far as deleting a row goes, basic deletion in SQL is a little bit is pretty easy when we get into cascading delete. So deleting where there is foreign key constraints is a little bit more difficult. Hopefully they covered that in database 1. I don't want to spend a bunch of time on it, so we're just going to jump right into deletion. So to delete, we're simply going to do delete from, so our syntax is going to be delete from table name where conditions. And then we'll do, so we're going to just delete Robert, Bob, delete from employees where employee ID is equal to 11. So now if we go back again, we should see that Robert Boberson no longer works for the Northwind Company. So that is updating, inserting, and deleting. So now let's get into functions. I don't want to spend too much time on functions. I actually have already posted a reference to some function information on Blackboard. So like I said, I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but I do want to talk a little bit about functions. So there's a few that I really want to talk about, and that is going to be count, concat, sum. What else do we want to talk about? Count, concat. We'll do substring. And I don't really want to deal with any of that. Elif. Maybe max? Yes, we'll do max, min. Okay, so count. Count is basically a function that is going to return the number of rows counted. So if I want to find out how many employees we have, I can do select count star from employees, and it looks like I forgot to cover that guy up. So select count star. Let me talk about the syntax real quick. So for using functions, and some of these we can actually combine. So I can do, so we'll do select function name, column name from table. So that's going to be our basic syntax. We're going to omit the alligators, the greater than and less than, but we are going to keep the parens here. So we can do that to get back just the count, or if I want to give it a column name, I can do count as total num employees. So I can give a column alias as well. Whoops, let's go back. So for concat, it's going to be pretty simple, right? We're going to do select concat first name. So basically concat takes a list of columns to it takes a list of columns and string parameters and combines them into one string. So if you want white space, you have to manually add it. First name, last name, lives at, address, from employees. So you can see we use concat, and we can concat all this info, but we have to, if we want white space in between it, we have to manually add the white space. So that to be said, let's jump into sum. So sum will give us the total value stored in a numeric column. So if we look at our products table, unit price. So if I do select sum, whoops, that's not what I want to do. Select sum unit price from products, and then we'll just say it as total unit price. You can see those will give us our total unit price. Now that to be said, we can also do mathematical equations in here as well. So I could say unit price times units in stock as total unit price, or we'll say total value in stock from products. So now we're taking into account the number of units we have in stock as well as the individual unit price. So now a substring, we're going to talk about substring here real quick as soon as I can figure out how to format all this. So we're going to talk about substring now. And basically substring does exactly what you would think it would. And that is to give me a substring of a string at an index. So what I can do is I could say select substring first name, we'll say 1, so that's our starting position, and then so it's at a starting position and then a certain number of characters forward. So if I say 3, it'll give me the first 3 characters of the first name in employees. Now, one cool thing that I can do is I could, in theory, also, I could do a concat and a substring. I don't know where you'd use it, but you can do it. So guys, you can nest these functions inside of each other. So I can do select substring, concat first name, last name, and we'll say len. So len is one that I wanted to talk about. Say len first name plus len last name plus 1 to account for the white space. Should be able to do that. And we'll say 1 employees. Is it length? Is it len? Is it len or length? I thought it was. No, it's len. Okay, so concat. So that all looks good. So substring. Did we neglect to close one of these guys off? Okay, so substring, we have our string right here, which is concat, first name, last name. We have starting index of 1, and then we have ending index of len first name, len last name. Okay, I see what I did wrong. Okay, so as you can see, right, so I did my substring, but I combined it with a concat. So if I got rid of the substring part, right, so if I just wrote a statement like this, whoops, select concat from employees. You can see it will pull back first name, last name, and address. But because I smacked it in a substring and I added len, and len returns the length of a given input string, and I added 1, so I did first name, last name, plus 1, I was able to pull back just the first and last name of the employee. Obviously, there's an easier way to do that. I just wanted to show that it is possible to stack functions inside of each other. So just so everybody's clear, because I probably will put a question like that on the homework for this week. So now I just want to get into min and max. So max is going to return the maximum value stored in a column at maximum value stored in a column, and the min is going to return the minimum. So what I can do is I could say select max unit price as most expensive product, min unit price least expensive product from products. And you can see that we were able to pull back our most expensive and least expensive product. So that is min and max. And let's see where we're at on time. Probably about tapped for time. Yeah, so that is it, guys, for so that is it for week 4. The homework is going to be a lot more hands-on. You guys are going to have to do some work in Northwind this week using some of the techniques that I just have laid out. So good luck, and please reach out if you have any questions.